Hello, I'm Cara Dahl Russell, and we continue our After the News at Noon series, Courtly Love and the Cult of the Virgin, with today's discussion of pop songs of the Virgin Mary. Today, we're going to hear a timeline of songs of veneration to the Virgin Mary from the time of our series to Monteverdi and then to Verdi. The ones that we will hear are mostly clear in the divinity of the Virgin Mary and her position within the Catholic hierarchy of veneration. But as you know from some of the selections we played last week, many songs to the Virgin Mary were not so clearly religious. Music within the Church can often be a source of contention in almost any denomination. Just as Bach dedicated all of his works to the glory of God, musicians in churches today want to bring their highest talent and best musical knowledge to the worship service. Unfortunately, many times the pastoral staff will have either a limited appreciation or knowledge of the music or have preferences which may be much more traditional. Pastors have been known to complain that this is not a recital or a concert, and yet still want exceptional presentations of music that is deemed acceptable or accessible, and often that means music that was written over 100 years ago. From the other point of view, music is often pointed to as an unnecessary source of dissension in the church and a distraction from the word. During the Gregorian period of music, that was the reason for no instruments in church. It was felt that all things in the service, including the music, had to extol the word, and that meant only vocal music. Today, we have a strong influence of praise bands in many denominations. The usual complaint lodged against this music is that it is musically repetitive and the lyrics simplistic. And while this music is often said to be familiar and comforting to some, others argue that it is worldly, pedestrian, and too secular. The discrepancy between popular religious music and more traditional music has caused great schisms. From folk to gospel to R&B to rock, one of the essential problems that has been faced over the years in bringing popular music into the church has been questions of the reverence and theology of the lyrics, combined with a popular music style that can lack musical scholarship. I'm a fan of BB and CC Winans, and they've sold many CDs of music classified as gospel R&B, but I have to admit, a lot of the songs are indistinguishable from sexy love songs. Similarly, the old hymn, I Come to the Garden Alone, was often considered to be debatable, both in its lyrics and musically. It has a lot in common with the salon songs of its day. A few years ago, I sang it in performance, emphasizing its grand waltz qualities. And as a child, when my grandfather sang it at home, I always did think he was singing a love song to my grandmother. The person who put it most succinctly said, "If you can't tell if the song is being sung to your lover or to the Lord, that is a theological problem. The song is not being directly and specifically addressed to the Lord." That person continued on to say that the music is then not fit for church. But I've also heard a contrasting viewpoint expressed that all music is acceptable in church as long as it is being presented in reverence. Well, the argument always feels current when you're involved in it, but none of this is new. In this time period between 1000 and 1200, as troubadour songs transmuted into songs of courtly love songs, sometimes with extremely little alteration, were turned into songs of veneration of the Virgin Mary, and songs for the Virgin Mary, with one word changed, were sung to the High Lady of the Castle. Last week, we played some songs intended as religious veneration that extolled her beauty, her grace, her similarity to a flower, her lovely scent, and could she dare to show favor to this lowly knight? Who was the song for? His lover or the Virgin Mary? As we mentioned on Monday, by the year 1200, polyphony was being sung in churches, and we know there was an outflow of this style into popular music, where this polyphony informed madrigal singing in the following centuries. And we know this flow from the church to popular music continued well into the 1700s, with secular cantatas, sometimes only distinguished from religious works by their lyrics. The big change in the past few generations seems to be that the direction of the flow recently has been in only one direction. Church music no longer seems to influence popular culture, while pop influenced music has made great strides in churches. Today, we hear a small musical timeline of songs dedicated to the Virgin Mary.